Well, thank you for joining me for another iTWire video with top international executives. Today I have with me on my right, Joel Dolisy. He is the CTO and CIO for SolarWinds. And on my left, I have John Rizzo. He is the Senior VP and General Manager for SolarWinds Pacific Region ANZ. Welcome both to the program.
Welcome, Alex. Hi, Alex. Glad to be here.
Thank you. So, Joel and John, I'll just ask you to both tell me a little bit about what SolarWinds does for those who don't know. And, you know, I know you're CTO and I know you're GM, but what's your role at the company? So I'll start with you, Joel.
Sure, certainly. So SolarWinds is basically a provider of IT management software. So we want to manage all the elements that are, powering your application, your business, basically, whether they live on-premise or in the cloud, doesn't matter. We are a provider of software for monitoring that. And my role as CTO, I basically am in charge of the technical and technological strategy for the products and also the product strategy. And I also have a incubation group that works on advanced research projects for the company.
All the cool stuff coming in the future.
Exactly, all the cool toys and all the cool ideas. And then we are also from a CIO perspective there, I basically kind of own all the kind of internal system strategy, as well as kind of some of the operations part of keeping the lights on.
Sure. And John, you've just recently moved to Australia?
I have. I came here 4 years ago with my wife. We had a great time. I recently moved into Potts Point, and my responsibility is to grow our business here at a more rapid rate. And so Joel said he wanted to see kangaroos, so I brought him over, and he's here to help us do that. He has a lot of customers and be very busy all week.
So you were here before, but this is your first trip, Joel.
It absolutely is my first trip. Indeed, I want to see kangaroos and koalas and whatnot.
You haven't had a chance to see them yet?
I still haven't had a chance. I've kind of toured around, but I probably didn't go in the right direction. But I've seen quite enough, and I'm really impressed with Sydney and Australia.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what is the other reason why you're in Australia this week?
So a couple of different things, had a kind of a bunch of customer visits lined up, and also we are launching the results of a kind of an IoT survey that we just commissioned. So IoT is a big buzzword.
Internet of Things. Everyone's talking about it.
Exactly. Yes, that's kind of science fiction a little bit, but as we see right now, it actually is more reality than science fiction.
Well, I mean, what did the survey uncover? Is it hype? Is it real? Are we still at the beginning stages of it? Tell us about that. And then what examples of IoT usage are you seeing with your Australian and US and international customers?
Sure, I think that the survey shows that, look, there's already right now an IoT. It is there. You've got, industries that basically have, sensors everywhere, in warehouses, in, kind of chemical plants and all of that. It's full of sensors everywhere. You've got also the consumer side with your Fitbit and your Nest thermostats and all of that. All of that is wired and data is going somewhere. And so it's a reality already right now. I think that the growth basically over the next few years will become more exponential because you're going to have more and more. It's cheaper and cheaper to actually have some of those sensors to actually be integrated into anything. And so why not send data somewhere? Somebody's going to do something with it. And so I think that as we see into the survey results, I think that is really, causing some concerns, to our users and potential users in the sense that basically they feel that their workforce, for instance, may not be completely, up to speed on the skills that they need to kind of master this additional level of infrastructure and complication that comes. There are certainly security concerns. I think it's a big concern, overall. The fact that, you have data, you see data breaches all the time, and honestly, you don't even know what people are doing with your data. So I think it's a huge concern there, and we see that in the results as well. And then I think that there's an overall concern about, all the traffic. What am I going to do with all that? And am I going to be able to kind of know where it's coming from and what I need to do with it and to handle it properly? So I think that it's just of network complexity, the fact that now you have all those devices that are coming up and down all the time, sensors sending data, should I expect that data to come in or not? All of those things are concerns, that came out of the survey results there. I think people are just realistic, about this. It's not a science fiction project anymore. IoT is here. I think that we are at the beginning of it, and overall that growth is going to be exponential, and so I think people are just concerned.
And we see when we talk to our customers, whenever we ask the IT manager how many more people could they hire, none of them have said, we can hire as many people as we want. So they're forced to do much more with less, and if this massive explosion of devices on their networks, all those devices have to be monitored, measured, kept up, and you start thinking about the convergence of cloud and data center IT and hybrid IT. very large set of technical challenges that must be addressed, even with the same amount of resources that exist today. So an explosion of work without an explosion of people to do the work, it's a big challenge they face.
So can SolarWinds solutions help people to manage all of these devices and extract and then make meaningful insights from all of this data, or do you have to plug into other people's solutions? What's the short story there?
No, you can certainly kind of cover various aspects of the management of IoT with the existing software that SolarWinds has. You know, as a management vendor, we are going to have to improve our tools, to be able to kind of deal with the massive growth that's going to come up with this. But already right now, kind of IP address management, for instance, is one area where IoT is interest, kind of is there, and we have solutions around that, and be able to kind of track devices that are on your network, for how long they've been there, who's using that, all of that. Already right now we have products that are dealing with that.
Sure.
And so the answer is yes, of course, just like any good sales guy. But on the it's not just a sales call; it actually is reality. We can actually deal with this right now, and as a company, as I said, we are investing more over time to basically kind of be able to deal with the reality and the data explosion really that's going to come up, in the next few years.
We have a customer here in Australia who's in the transportation business, and they were telling us yesterday about a problem they had with a controller that was controlling a disk array. They had a series of alerts that were being generated by our software that told them that maybe that disk array was going to fail. So they called the disk array vendor, had it changed in the middle of the night, and the problem was solved before it actually occurred. Now, there's a lot of complexity in managing the network, understanding the application that's running on that, managing the disk itself. So it's not just a network management monitoring problem, it's an application monitoring problem. At the end of the day, you or I, we only care whether or not our application on our iPhone is getting into the corporate network or whether or not I can do what I want to do. We don't care about all the things underneath it. And so we provide an end-to-end solution that allows us to help our customers solve those problems regardless of the source of the problem.
And I mean also when they see the alert to actually take action, because I remember with some of the big hack attacks, they had all these alerts, nobody was doing anything about it. So,
yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned a lot of things that the research talks about. Is there anything else you wanted to highlight, and where can viewers get a copy of the research? Is it just on SolarWinds.com, or do they have to contact you to get a copy?
No, I think that basically there's going to be a press release associated with this. It's going to be available on SolarWinds.com on the events.
Sure. I'll have a link. I'll have a link to that.
Yep. So that will be there. There's no need to contact us in my private email address to get a copy of this. Please don't. But if you want to talk about technology, then of course you can certainly contact me. But yes.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things that you're talking about in your recent in this press release that's about to be released is that companies love rapid growth. And you guys have had a lot of experience with that in the past, 18 months, I guess, M&A challenges, infrastructure systems, network management. What is your advice to companies in this area, and especially given the experience of your own massive growth in this time? You're eating your own dog food, I guess.
Yeah, that's the first thing. As an IT management vendor, we want to eat our own dog food, or kind of drink your own champagne, whatever it is.
The champagne sounds a lot better.
Yes, I think the second one. I prefer the second one, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I haven't heard that one before, so that's a good one. I have to use it.
Yes, but I think that the main thing is focus. I think that it's easy when you grow and you kind of you acquire new companies and whatnot to actually be distracted.
Yeah, some people bite off more than they can chew.
Because there's a new shiny object.
Yeah.
And it's easy to kind of say, oh, squirrel, and then you kind of start looking at kind of another shiny object or a squirrel right there on the side. Like in the movie Up. It's just like the dog is there and watching out. Squirrel here, squirrel there, and then basically at the end you don't do anything.
Yeah.
And so I think it's focus that is really important. And really understanding what your priorities are as a business. So if you're trying to grow, then all the projects that are not supporting that growth, they can wait. Yes, as uncomfortable as it may seem, it can wait.
It's almost like triaging. Look after the most important stuff first.
Yes, and it's kind of funny because you always say that, and people say, "Oh, yeah, of course we do this and that," but it's kind of interesting to see that in reality, people get carried away because they're so close to, "Oh, it's my project."
They can't see the forest for the trees.
Exactly, it's kind of my project. It's absolutely important, but if you look and take a step back and look at the rest of the project in the business, it can wait, because it's not as important. Yes, maybe it will cost us by having some additional person having to work on that project and do it manually instead of automating it. But in the grand scheme of things, there are other projects that are more important for us to grow.
Are there any other customer wins that recent times you want to talk about in Australia or internationally?
Well, we have a large set, probably 3,000 customers here in Australia.
Nice
transportation, banking, telecommunications. Unfortunately, most of them don't want us to tell the world who
Yeah.
they are because they view their use of our technology as a competitive advantage.
Sure.
And we're here to really grow the market even faster.
So where is SolarWinds heading for the rest of 2015 and beyond, if you want to look in the crystal ball a bit? And then the broader tech industry, where do you see that evolving over the next few years?
Look, it's keeping track of the trends. Like you've got SDN, you've got IoT, you've got big data. All the buzzwords right now.
Hybrid cloud. All of that
oh my gosh, yeah.
Cloud of clouds.
That's even passé already.
That's it.
So it's kind of really kind of for us to really kind of implement and concretize this hybrid IT vision. It's really kind of bringing those things that you have in the cloud, SaaS, on-premise, and really kind of tying all of those things together in a single pane of glass. That's kind of what we are executing on. That's what's going to come down the line, basically. We already have great start with the app stack. That's just the beginning of that vision. We have much bigger ambitions than just the application stack. We want to bring in the network into that and basically kind of bring, total visibility for, our customers and hopefully our next generations of customers that, in those various environments.
Ultimately, if a customer's got a database, virtualization, a storage, a networking, a security problem in IT to solve, we want them to think SolarWinds first. We want them to think, I need to call those guys at SolarWinds because I trust they're going to deliver great products that are easy to use and well priced. And we want to build that unique relationship. So we're the first thing they think of, even though our name is a green energy company, but we're not in that business.
Sure.
That's
Now,
our
I always like to change gears just very slightly. Based on a question I heard Ashton Kutcher suggesting was an interesting one to ask, and he came to Australia a few months ago, and he said, I always like to ask people, what's the most valuable piece of advice that you ever received to help you to get you where you are today? So Joel, I'll start with you first.
Well, I think for me it was, it's all about getting, basically, if you're a tech person, you don't live in an island. You have to be open to the business and learn the other parts of the business to be successful. And I think that's really true, even though I'm not necessarily a finance guy, but I need to know about how we do revenue recognition because it has direct impact on how we design licensing for our products.
Yeah.
And it's all that, the more you're versatile there, the more successful you will be.
Probably one way of saying is that, there's a famous saying, jack of all trades and master of none. Well, probably you should change it. You should be the master of your trade, but a jack of all the other trades too.
That's a good paraphrase, actually. Yeah, that's great. I'm going to reuse this.
Go for it. And John, any comments from you?
Well, so my best advice, I learned this when I was working on the Mac team in 1983 with Steve Jobs, and my advice would be find yourself associated with the smartest people you can find who challenge you to do far more than you think you can, even though it's very painful at the moment. That's the way you can really advance your career.
Well, that's really good advice too. So are there any final messages you'd like to share with iTWire viewers and readers and potential customers?
Yeah, so I think in summary, we are all here about this survey. I think the net is that, yes, IoT is real. We have software already that can help with the challenges of the current IoT, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger in terms of number of sensors and number of data points that are being brought back, and our software will evolve and support you as well.
Sure. And John?
We look forward to working with each of you in the Australia-New Zealand market.
Okay.
For being a part of us.
Joel and John, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Alex.
you.